Check, check, check. Welcome, everyone. If you are on, if you're on the Hangout with us, say something in the comment section, and I'll see if I can keep up with it here. Just tell me that you're on. All right. Nicolette says it's nearly 2 a.m. in the UK. Welcome from the UK. That's super inspiring. Hello, everyone on the teleconference line as well as the live webinar Hangout. Welcome to tonight's presentation. Let me know who you are and where you are calling from on the line if you're calling in on the phone, and type in your comments if you're on pinkcattyhangout.com. Who do we have with us that has called in? All right, looks like there's a bunch of people joining the crowd here on pinkcattyhangout.com. Marlene in Los Angeles. Myra, Myra, you are, I forget where you're at, Myra Hernandez, but you're not in the US. That's awesome. Kim from Pennsylvania. Fernanda from, I don't know, it doesn't say where you are. Dorothy from Texas. Michelle from Georgia. Jessica from Longmont High School. Now you got a last minute facial, no worries. And we have Nicolette from the UK. So welcome, welcome everyone. We're going to get started here in just a moment. I just need to make sure that everything is getting recorded properly. And this is the first time that I have done a phone call and a hangout at the same time, the way we're doing it tonight at least. So looks like you guys can see me on the line, on the live hangout. And let's get going. All right, let me mute these telephone lines. So some of you are on the line. Welcome, welcome for those of you calling in. Some of you are on the computer, joining us on pinkcattyhangout.com. So welcome to all of you as well. Let me make sure we've got no background noise here. Okay, everyone, let's get rolling. Let me put my screen on. All right, and that's not the page that I want. Let's try that again. There you go. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Pink Caddy Hangout. We are talking about recruiting tonight, specifically magnetic recruiting. And I know there's all kinds of things that you could be doing here on a Sunday evening, for those of you that are listening to this live on a Sunday. And I really appreciate you being here. So here's what we're going to talk about tonight. We are going to talk about magnetic recruiting, and during the little bit of time that we have together, I'll be teaching you what I know to be true about the biggest recruiting mistakes that people make, about the most important internal shift that you must make in order to change your energy and your recruiting around, the 5 characteristics of the world's best recruiters. We're going to talk about overcoming objections easily and unconsciously. How about that? How about we overcome objections unconsciously instead of getting into this like debate each time, right? And finally, we're going to talk about identifying and attracting your ideal prospects. So welcome, welcome to everybody. I did a little bit of a roll call. I'm not going to go through everybody, but I see a lot more people have joined. Tamika, Cheryl from Colorado Springs, Kelly, North Carolina, Talisha from somewhere. I can't see where you're from. Anyway, welcome everybody. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to go for about 45 to 50 minutes or so. Then we're going to have some time for Q&A. I'll stick around. I like to answer as many questions as I can. Don't take notes of information. What I suggest you do is just take notes of inspiration. You're going to have access to the recording of this, so don't worry about trying to get all of the things that are on my slides or everything that comes out of my mouth if you're listening to us on the phone. And we'll talk about how you can go deeper with all of this stuff later. So let's jump right into the content. I want to start with some of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make when it comes to recruiting. Obviously, recruiting is a lifeblood of your business. If you want to, grow your business, and this is only Mary Kay. Everybody on the line is just specifically in Mary Kay. So I'm going to talk about only Mary Kay. A lot of these concepts transfer to other areas of your life or business in general, but tonight we're going to be talking about specifically Mary Kay. And if you want to grow your business, if you want to become a director, you want to become a national, you want to get into your red jacket, DIQ, any of those steps that are ahead of you, you're going to need to recruit, right? You're going to need to grow your business, obviously. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that a lot of people make when they are recruiting. And please let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I just want to make sure that that my sound is coming through. So in the comment section on the Hangout, can you just let me know that the sound is coming through? Sometimes there are echoes on these things, and I want to make sure that that's not happening. I want to make sure that's not happening because I definitely don't want to go through this whole presentation and then find out afterwards that that the sound is not working. So a couple people online said that they lost, or you can't play the video. You might have to refresh your page. If you just hit play on the video, it should start. It'll start up and take you to where we are now. So hang on one sec. Let me just make sure that this is working, and then we'll jump right into the content here. I don't want to leave a bunch of people behind if we're having technical issues that I can fix. All right, several people are saying loud and clear, all good. You guys can hear me. Perfect. All right. So if at any time, all right, excellent. So a lot of people are saying the sound is good. So I'm gonna head on and go. If you guys are not hearing me clearly, you might have to refresh your page. And once again, if the technology just gets the best of you tonight, that happens sometimes. I mean, we're dealing with the internet connection, stuff like that. If the technology gets the best of you, then you'll be able to see the replay. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest mistakes that people make when they are recruiting. And the first one, and this isn't necessarily in any chronological order, but people just simply talk too much. Now, I think that's probably an issue in society for a lot of us, that people just talk too much. But with recruiting, there's this idea that during your presentation, you should be presenting. And there's a part of that that's true, for sure. But if your intention is to see if somebody's a good fit for your business, you can't just be throwing a bunch of information at them. You've got to be asking a lot more questions. The bottom line is that leaders, true leaders, listen more than they speak. And I know we hear a bunch of things around, use your ears and mouth proportionately. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and etc. So listen to that. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I know there's a lot of truth in that. But specifically from a recruiting standpoint, you have to you have to pay more attention to them than you are giving information, right? When you listen to somebody, they feel important. I mean, think about just any conversations you have with anybody else. If somebody else dominates the conversation, even if they're kind of supposed to dominate the conversation, right? When they're dominating the conversation, I mean supposed to, like if you're getting information from somebody and they're telling you all the bells and whistles of this thing that you're looking into, then it's a situation where they're kind of supposed to be talking. But even in those situations where they're supposed to be doing a lot of the talking, you still don't feel all that important because you're not being heard. And when you allow somebody to feel heard, they feel important and they feel special. So listen to them, ask them a bunch of questions. If you were to cut, for most people, you could probably cut out 50% of the stuff you say and replace it with questions and fill in all those minutes that you cut out when you're talking, fill those in with them talking and them answering your questions, and you'll have better results. I promise you, because people are going to be more engaged in what you're talking about. They're going to see the Mary Kay opportunity for what it can do in their life, not just what it's done in your life or anybody else's life, or the fact that it's, a sponsor of whatever the TV show is now, Project Runway, I believe. And I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm not saying that's unimportant, but nobody's going to join a business because they're sponsoring a big TV show. It adds credibility, no doubt. And please don't think that I'm, saying anything negative about that. It adds credibility. But am I going to join a business to where, I might change my life because of the characteristics of a business? I'm not going to join a business just because a company's been around a long time. I'm not going to join a business because a lot of people are in that business. I'm not going to join a business just because something is credible. I'm going to join a business if I think it can help me change my life, period. All of those things help, but they're not as important as a lot of people think they are, right? You got to understand why people join businesses and why people make decisions in the first place. People make decisions for their own personal reasons. We are all selfish when it comes to our decision making. We want to make decisions according to our own personal reasons. There's no way anybody can argue that. Like, even if you make decisions with other people in mind, you're still making those decisions with other people in mind for your own reasons, through your own filters. So the best thing you can do from a recruiting standpoint is get people talking and thinking about themselves, asking questions about their life, asking questions about how this can help them achieve their goals. So ask more questions. One of the things that I've been saying a lot lately is leaders are asking machines. They're not answering machines, right? Don't spend so much time talking and giving off information. Spend more time listening and asking questions. Now, this next point, transfer information, is similar to what I was just saying. It's like an offshoot of that. People don't make their decisions intellectually either. And this is a big misconception, because a lot of us want to feel like we are smart. We want other people to feel like, or we think other people want to feel smart. And so we spend too much time in the intellectual realm. Like, let me tell you why it would be smart to do this. Let me tell you about the retirement plan. Let me tell you about how intelligent it would be to have a business so you can save money on your taxes. Again, I'm not saying those are unimportant, but nobody gets into the ring and fights for a dream of theirs so they can save money on their taxes. Nobody gets into a good fight for their vision, this dream that they've had since they were a little child, so they can have a good retirement plan. You'll never ever hear a young child say, you know what I want when I grow up? I want a retirement plan. They'll never say that, because that's not the language of the heart. That's the language of the head. And you need to get into people's hearts when you're recruiting, because that's why people make decisions. That's where their decisions are coming from. When people make decisions with their head, they don't last very long usually. It's too easy for them to change their mind because their decision was made only with their mind. But when you tap into people's hearts and you get them thinking emotionally, and you get them talking emotionally, and you get them deciding emotionally, now things can change. Now you're going to have people that are more excited, like genuinely excited, not hyped up. Hype is a function of the brain. Genuine enthusiasm is a function of the heart. And that's what you want to get people into, is their genuine enthusiasm for changing their life. Not this hyped up short-term get rich quick decision about joining a business. Because any of you that have been in this business long enough to, recruit somebody and not have them stick around, you'll know that recruiting somebody doesn't matter. Recruiting somebody that sticks is what matters. What's good about having 75 hollow people on your team? Nothing. It's not about having names on your team. It's about having people that are dedicated. It's about having people that are committed, right? So if you want committed people, then you got to get them into their heart, because that's where commitment really truly lies, as soon as you possibly can. You want them to be committed to their decision to change their life before they sign their agreement. That's how people make long-lasting, life-changing decisions. You can talk people into making intellectual decisions, but too often those are going to be short-term decisions. So don't focus on transferring information. You want to focus on igniting emotion. That's what you want, igniting emotion. Now, another big mistake that a lot of people make, and this is something that most people know about, but a lot of people don't know how to get around this, and that's taking the results personally. We hear this all the time. We know that we're not supposed to take things personally, but the bottom line is most people do. And specifically around recruiting, people take recruiting a lot more personally than they take sales, like just selling the product. And it's usually because you feel like you are involved in the offer of joining the business a lot more than you're involved in somebody saying they want the products or not. And that makes sense. People say, hey, do you want this foundation? Do you want the lipstick? Do you want the mascara? Do you want this kit? Whatever the products are, you're not attached to those products. You didn't make the products. You bought the products, and you're just basically reselling these products. So there's not as much personal attention there, or personal attachment rather. But when you talk about joining a business and you are locking arms with somebody, and you are training them, and you are inviting them to your meeting as a director, and you're inviting them to your house or your training center, or you're going to their house, or you're meeting them anywhere, you're just much more personally involved in that. And so it's a lot harder to detach when you are more personally involved. But you have to make that detachment. I can promise you this. If you don't win this game of detaching yourself emotionally from recruiting, you lose, period. You lose. You cannot win. You cannot win being personally and emotionally attached to your recruiting efforts. There's no other way around that. You cannot win. This is a game you must win. Otherwise, your ceiling will be very low in this business. And I'm just telling you like it is. This is what I've learned. I've been working in the Mary Kay world, training, coaching, consulting, doing workshops for 9 years. This is what I've learned, and I'm not into sugarcoating things. You can't win in building your business unless you detach yourself personally and emotionally from the recruiting results specifically. Now, that does not mean that you don't care about people. That doesn't mean that you are shallow. It doesn't mean any of those things that a lot of people sometimes think it means. What it means is you can totally believe in people. You can show up 100% for people. You can stand for their goals and their dreams. But if and when they quit, or if and when they say no, you're not going to be personally affected by another human being's decision. Human beings have the right to make whatever decisions they want, period. They have that right. And if you are going to allow another human being's decision to affect you emotionally, you lose. You lose. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to sting sometimes. I don't want you to think that I'm saying you just become a robot. That's not realistic. And I want you to stay human in this process. So is it going to sting sometimes? Sure. But when I talk about emotional attachment, I mean when it destroys you. I mean when that fear of people saying no paralyzes you so much that you're afraid to talk to people. You're afraid to warm chat. You're afraid to recruit people into your business because you don't want them to be in the same financial situation or the same emotional situation that you are, or you don't think that you have what it takes to lead them. When you are so paralyzed by your fears, that's the emotional attachment that you must get rid of. If somebody's been in your business for several years and one day they show up and they say that they're going to quit, it's going to sting a little bit. It's going to sting. And if it didn't sting, then you're probably not as connected to your business as you should be. But being connected and being attached are different. Being connected means you can be present. You can still uphold your values. You can still stand for people's dreams and you can advocate for their goals. Being attached, though, means other people's decisions will control you. That's the line that you cannot afford to cross. Otherwise, you lose. In the recruiting game, you're simply inviting and you're sorting. You're inviting people to the party and you're telling the people that say yes, they want information, where to go. And you're telling people that say no, where to go, period. That's it. You're just sorting people. It's like you're having a house party and people are coming in and you're saying, are you a vegetarian or do you eat meat? If they say they're a vegetarian, you send them to the room to the left. If they say they eat meat, you send them to the room to the right. Recruiting doesn't have to be conceptually anything different than that. That's what successful recruiters understand, and that's what they master. But when you ask somebody if they're a vegetarian, they say no, they eat meat, and it causes you to cry. And then you spend your energy trying to convince them that they shouldn't eat meat and they should live this vegetarian lifestyle just like you do. And you try to paint the picture of what living like a vegetarian would be for them if they just were to make the decision to be a vegetarian. Life could be so good and you guys could play together so well, and you sit there and you try to change their mind and you spend all this energy, and then they tell you, but I don't want to be a vegetarian, I want to eat meat, and you say, no, you don't want to eat meat, let me tell you about how your life could be as a vegetarian. You're going to make yourself go nuts. And that's how most people approach this business. They get so irritated when people say no. And let me tell you this, the more afraid you are of somebody saying no, the more no's you're going to get, and the more that those no's are going to crush you. So when you break this emotional attachment, you're going to be so much more magnetic. You're going to be more fun to be around because people can tell when you've got an emotional attachment and an agenda for them. They can tell. When you show up with your agenda and there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer, people can tell. And they will naturally, energetically resist you. And all of that stems from this issue of taking things too personally and being emotionally attached. Let's go to the fourth one here. And this is around prejudging people. Now, these are all intertwined. One of the reasons that you prejudge people is because you take stuff personally. So you don't want to put yourself out there anymore to get hurt. Therefore, the safe route is to only go after people that you think will do the business. And that's a huge mistake, just a huge mistake. Here's why. I understand the concept of, wanting the quote unquote right people in your business. But the problem is you don't know who that's going to be because the characteristics of success in Mary Kay are not externally observable. What I mean by that is what makes somebody successful in Mary Kay are things that you can't see. It's their determination. It's their consistency. It's their level of discipline. It's their excitement toward their goals and their dreams. It's their enthusiasm. It's all of their habits. It's their beliefs. It's all those things. And you can't line somebody, you can't line 10 people up and go, you're going to be successful. You're not going to be successful. You will, you won't, you won't. You can't, play duck, duck, goose when you're recruiting, because a lot of those ducks that you've prejudged have so much inside of them that are not externally observable. And the problem with playing duck, duck, goose is when you decide that somebody should be a goose, then you're creating expectations. And when your expectations are not met, it feeds into the emotional attachment that I just spent a long time talking about the dangers of. So your prejudging energy creates the expectations that feed into the emotional attachments that ruin your recruiting. Let me see if I can repeat that. I don't have this written down. Your prejudging energy creates the expectations that feed into the emotional attachment that ruins your recruiting energy and makes it more difficult than it should be. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that you just talk to every single person that you see, but nobody does that anyway that I've ever met, right? So I'm not talking about that end of the spectrum, but what I'm talking about is not using your energy to say she's going to be good and she's not going to be good. That prejudgment will cripple you in your recruiting, I promise, because the expectations are going to create upset and they're going to create disappointment. And it's your disappointment that you're afraid of. It's the emotional letdown that you're afraid of. It's the emotional irritation that you're actually running from in your business. See, most people can only, because they don't know how to handle this stuff, most people can only do what they think they need to do to avoid the potential for emotional disappointment. And the problem with that is the way you avoid emotional disappointment in Mary Kay is you don't talk to humans. That's the way you avoid it. That's the only way that you can avoid emotional disappointment in Mary Kay is you have to resign to not talking to humans. I can tell you with every ounce of my soul that that's not the best way to build your business. It's not. And yet, until and unless you clear this emotional attachment up, it's kind of the only game you can play is coping with the emotional disappointment. I don't want you to cope with the disappointment. I want you to clear it away so it doesn't affect you anymore. And that's possible. See, a lot of people don't even think that's possible. It is possible. I want you to be able to clear it, not just cope with it. And we'll get into a little bit more of that later. So those are the biggest mistakes that people make. Now let's get into the single most important internal shift you must make. And I'll tell you that this changes most of those mistakes that I just talked about. It will take care of most of those on its own. And simply put, it's moving from selling to serving. When you're in your selling energy, you have an agenda. You want somebody to say yes. You want to give them this presentation. You're thinking about them being a prospect. You're thinking about them joining your team. You're listening to all the things that they say they want to do with their life. You're putting them in DIQ. You're deciding that they are your next offspring sales director. You're telling them that they could be the next national sales director. You're deciding that they're going to take you to your next milestone, that all you need to do is ride the coattails of this new person that's on fire. You're putting them in your business. You're building your production off of their efforts. You're doing all of these things. Whether you're conscious about it or not, you're doing all of these things when you're in selling mode. When you're chasing people, you're selling. And the problem with selling is that it has the connotation of winning and losing. If you sell them, it's a win. If you don't sell them, it's a loss. If they join, it's a win. If they don't join, it's a loss. If they buy, it's a win. If they don't buy, it's a loss. So you're literally caught up in a win-loss game, in a win-loss scenario. And all of your fears are around losing something. All of your fears are around losing something. They're around negativity. They're around bad things happening. So when you're focused on, whether it's conscious or unconscious, when you're plugged into a winning and losing energy, all of your fears will be kicked up. All of your limiting beliefs will show up because you can't focus on getting yes without focusing on getting a no. But when you're focused on serving, what I always say is there's no evil twin. When you really truly get it, that you have the gift that other people need, that your Mary Kay Opportunity is a business that can change lives. And listen, I don't care if it's changed your life significantly yet or not. It's an opportunity that can change lives. Your results won't necessarily transfer to somebody else, good or bad. And I'm going to get into this for a moment, because one of the reasons that a lot of people hold themselves back recruiting is because they're embarrassed of their own results. When you're embarrassed of your own results, you're not going to want to recruit anybody else into the misery that you're experiencing. Why would you want to recruit somebody else into a negative situation that you're experiencing? Of course you won't want to do that. Now, whether you're conscious about it or not, that's one of the ways that most people sabotage themselves when they're not happy with their results. And is it easier to recruit somebody when you're having tremendous success? Sure, especially friends that know you. But it's not required. When you're truly serving other people, your results are just not going to be that big of a deal, especially when you're making it all about them and you're asking more questions than you're giving information to. It's about them. And when you really truly show up to serve somebody, your fears won't be there. See, here's the way a lot of people show up. A lot of people consciously and intellectually say, I'm here to serve other people. I want to encourage other people. I want to empower other women. I want to enrich women's lives. It's in your language, but it's not in your body. Here's how I can tell it's not in your body. You're not making phone calls. You're not warm chatting people that you think about warm chatting. You're not following through on the activity. So I don't care how much it's in your language. I care about how much it's in your activities. So you can talk all day long about serving other people and you really want to help other people change their life. If you're not following through on your actions, then it's only in your language, but it's not in your body. And if it's not in your body, you lose. Your body will always win. What I mean by if it's not in your body is it really truly in your energy. Because if you think about making phone calls and you get scared, then you're not in that moment focused on service. You're focused on selling. You cannot have fear while you're focused on serving. It's impossible. They don't go together. So here's how you can tell. Whenever you get nervous, whenever you have fears, you're not serving. Your body is not serving. Your body is still scared of the rejection. Your body is still scared of the disappointment. Your mind and your tongue might be saying, I'm here to serve people, but your energy trumps your language. Your energy trumps your language. Your energy is what's going to create the sabotage and not even let you get on the phone. Your energy is what's going to create this sort of repulsion with other people, right? Where you actually repel them a little bit. Even though you're not saying it in your language, they can feel it in your energy. They can feel the nerves. They can feel the desperation. Your energy is a better recruiter than your language. And so if you have fears, your body is not serving. You know, I've never explained it that way. I've never even thought of it that way. But that's how you can tell. So if you still have fears, you know, I haven't got this yet. I haven't gotten this one yet. Intellect, and you know what? Here's the truth. Here's the honest truth. It is sometimes very challenging to understand something 100% intellectually and get it emotionally. Because if you understand it 100% intellectually, but you still don't get it emotionally, what else is there for you to do? It's going to be very difficult for you to see what you need more because you already understand it 100%. I get that. So if you understand conceptually what I'm saying about serving, but you still have fears, that's going to be a challenging situation. Now, I'll talk more about how you can clear some of this stuff up in a little bit, so stick around. But you have to get it in your body. So if you feel the fears, you're not in service. If you feel the hesitation, if you feel the nerves, if you feel that anxiety, you're not in service. That's the way that you can know 100% whether you're in service or not in your body, not in your mind. And so most people are in service in their mind, but they're in desperation in their body. And those don't work. So we really have to focus on your energy. All right, next piece here. 5 characteristics of the world's best recruiters. And what I was thinking about here is, who are some of the people that I know that are world-class recruiters, and what are some of their personal characteristics? A lot of things that I've already talked about, that's what they intellectually understand and they implement and they get it energetically, you know, but I want to take a look at the characteristics more just like an overall, like, you know, the personality. What are some of the overall characteristics they live by? And number one, they are just simply consistent and relentless. You cannot half your way to your goals. You cannot give half effort to your biggest goals. You cannot give less than 100% effort and achieve your goals. Now, 100% effort does not necessarily mean you sacrifice everything else in your life, but it means you really truly go for it. Most people are not really truly going for their goals. They're letting all kinds of other circumstances get in their way. But world-class recruiters specifically are consistent. They don't let their plane land. They keep their plane in the air all the time. They're talking to people. They're listening to people. Because when you make some of the shifts that I've already alluded to, recruiting can actually be fun. How about that? Here's the reality, you guys. The reality is that a lot of you are desperately wanting a certain position in Mary Kay, yet you don't enjoy recruiting. How can those coexist? How can you achieve something that requires you to do something that you don't enjoy? How can you do it? If you have a dream of being a national sales director and you don't enjoy recruiting, one of those two things needs to change. You either need to get to the point where you enjoy recruiting, or you need to stop pretending that you're ever going to be a national sales director. And I'm not trying to be harsh to burst your bubble. I'm trying to be real to help you identify the things that actually need to change for you to have a different experience in Mary Kay, based on my 9 years of experience in this business. And I've gotten to the point where I just don't like sugarcoating things anymore, because too many people are off base. They're off target. Too many people are focusing on things they shouldn't be focusing on. They think the things that are going to take them to their goals are going to work, and they're off target. The things that a lot of people are focused on, because I ask this question all the time: what's it going to take for you to get to where you want to go? And unfortunately, most people answer the question wrong. They answer the question wrong. Now, they think it's right, which is even more dangerous. When you think something is right and it's wrong, how do you win that battle? How do you win in that scenario? Because you don't even have the right target. So how can you achieve your Mary Kay goals if you don't love recruiting? You can deal with it. You can deal with the irritation enough to become a director, enough to achieve a certain level, but that irritation is what your business is going to be built upon. If you have irritation in recruiting, your entire business is going to be built on the foundation of irritation in recruiting. And other people are also going to have irritation in recruiting, because the master copy gets duplicated. If you are the master copy and you get duplicated, then your energy gets duplicated. So that's a really good question for you to ask yourself. Is the master copy, myself, worthy of being duplicated? If everybody had the same beliefs, attitudes, habits, energies, fears, if everybody had the same mindset and emotion as I do around this business, how would it go? And if you're honest with yourself, the answer is not like you want it to go. And again, I'm just speaking the truth because that's what I think everybody needs. We need to know exactly what has to change in order for us to get our goals. And so I don't want you to be off target. I want you to love this game just because, I want you to love your life. I want you to enjoy the journey. This business is not meant to make you cry at night. This business is not meant to make you go into anxiety fits the last 5 days of the month. This business is not meant for you to have these tremendous outputs of energy and then have to recover for 3 days because you just ran yourself ragged and you overheated your energy, your engine rather. This business is not meant to be the experience that a lot of people have in this business. And that makes me sad. This business is meant to change your life. This business is meant to have fun. This business is meant to help other people change their lives with fun and enjoyment. That was Mary Kay Ash's vision. Mary Kay Ash did not sit back at her kitchen table and go, how can I create a scenario that makes women really scared to talk to people and hate the end of the month and create a lot of tension in their lives? Oh, I know. Let me start this direct sales company. That wasn't her vision. That's not the way this company was created. It wasn't her dream. It's not the opportunity you have in front of you, yet it is the experience that a lot of people have. And so what I want you to do is change that experience. You got to love this. You got to love recruiting. You cannot build a solid business on the foundation of irritation. Now, once you love recruiting, then you can be consistent and relentless. But you can't be consistent and relentless when you don't enjoy the activities. That's where all your sabotage is created. It's created because you don't enjoy the activities. And you don't enjoy the activities because all the things that I've been talking about, the emotional attachment primarily. So that's one thing that world-class recruiters have is consistency and relentlessness. The other thing that world-class recruiters have is transparency and authentic. Now, I did not say that everybody who gets to the top of their company is transparent and authentic because that's not true. There are a lot of people who are multi-millionaires or billionaires or at the top of their respective companies. And I'm not going to say anything specific about Mary Kay, but what I'm saying is that people can rise to the top of an opportunity and not be transparent and authentic. And I do not consider those people world class. I consider those people tangibly successful that still have a lot to learn because they're not fulfilled. World class to me, the way I'm teaching about it right now, is somebody who is genuinely fulfilled, enjoys the journey, and achieves the highest levels that are in front of them. That's world class to me. Now, world class requires transparency and it requires authenticity for you to make other people feel good about themselves and for you to bring a lot of people with you in the same transparent energy and the same authentic energy. That's world class. So you must be transparent. You must be authentic, especially in today's age where there's too much distrust out there. The third thing that world-class recruiters have is eternal optimism. Eternal optimism. You will hit your dark moments. The sun will go down, but it will also come back up. And what most people, unfortunately, unconsciously do is they just sit in the shade and they focus on how cold the night is, and they don't focus on the sun coming back up. They don't focus optimistically about their ability to bounce back as a human being. Listen, you are a human being. You are an unrepeatable miracle. You have been created to enjoy this journey on this planet, and you've been created with all of the capabilities you need to have the most amazing life you could ever imagine, well beyond anything that's recognizable to you right now. You have that. You have it inside of you. But most people, unfortunately, deny their capabilities. They corrode their abilities They unplug from everything they're capable of doing because they don't live in eternal optimism. Now, that does not mean be Pollyanna. That doesn't mean pretend that everything is hunky-dory all the time and you ignore reality. That's not what I'm talking about. And anybody that knows me, you know that's not me. You can tell by the last 10 minutes I'm not talking about, avoiding reality. I want to have a real conversation, but I want to attach eternal optimism onto the conversation about what's real. And you can do that. You can be optimistic and acknowledge reality at the same time. But if you don't have eternal optimism, your attitude will take you down. I don't care what skill sets you have. There are some of you listening to this right now who have 10 times the amount of abilities that you need to achieve all of your goals in Mary Kay, and yet your attitude is holding you back. Not your conscious attitude, your unconscious attitude is holding you back. You are not unconsciously optimistic. Your beliefs are holding you back. You don't have an ability problem. You don't have an intellectual problem. You're smart enough, you're good enough, you know enough, but you don't believe enough. That's the truth. The fourth thing that world-class recruiters have is they have selective memories. Selective memories. I want you to remember the things that serve you and forget the things that don't. Listen, many of you can remember people that didn't join your business from 6 months ago, from 5 years ago. Would you please forget those people? Many of you are still holding on to experiences you had from 10 years ago. Would you please forget that experience? Because your experiences that are negative that you're holding on to are not serving you. They don't help you be eternally optimistic. All they do is help you hold on to the pessimism of what can go wrong. You have to be selective in your memory. Remember the things that serve you, forget the things that don't. Remember the people that support you, forget the people that don't. Be selective in your memory. And finally, world-class recruiters live in gratitude and joy. Live in gratitude and joy. No matter what is happening in their life or what's happening in their business. You can be incredibly grateful around challenging circumstances. You can be grateful for the fact that you even have the circumstances. You can be grateful for the fact that the sun will rise again. You can be grateful for the lessons that you're learning during those challenging circumstances. And you can live in joy. But see, most people's joy and happiness is conditional upon their success in life, and specifically in Mary Kay. If your joy and happiness is conditional upon your team, conditional upon your production, conditional upon your position, conditional upon where you get to sit at the events, conditional upon what other people think of you, conditional upon your director, conditional upon your national, whether you have one or not, or whether you like her or not. If your happiness and joy is conditional upon other people, you don't get it. You haven't gotten it yet. You're not living the way, in my opinion and in my beliefs, God created you to live. Because God did not create you to live with conditional joy. God created you to live with unconditional joy. And here's the catch that too many people don't cross. When you live in unconditional joy, you will be infinitely more able to create the conditions that you want. When you live in unconditional joy, you will be infinitely more capable of creating the conditions that you want. But when your happiness and joy is conditional, you have to have a certain kind of circumstance in order to be happy and joyful. You don't get it, and you don't deserve those conditions, and they're going to continue to get hard. They're going to continue to be hard for you to get, for you to create. So you must live in unconditional gratitude and joy. That's world class, guys. These are only five of the characteristics. There are more, but these are 5 of the characteristics that world-class recruiters have. Now let's talk about overcoming objections easily and unconsciously. And I'm gonna go a little bit quicker here through this one, because when you do a lot of things that I'm talking about, this stuff is easy. Most of these things take care of themselves when you've made a lot of the shifts that I've been alluding to so far. So the first thing is I want you to embrace objections as part of the process. You're supposed to give your presentation, and then they're supposed to object. That's how it works. It's how it works. If they don't give you an objection, you should get concerned, because very few people don't have some kind of consideration when they think about changing their life. There's got to be something. I'm not saying 100% across the board, but 99% of the time, the people that join the business, there has to be some consideration. In fact, I would feel nervous if somebody just joined the business without a single objection, without a single question or consideration. And that's really all objections are, considerations. Now, you're not going to erase people's objections that have them so entrenched that everything they look at, they see negatively. But the best you can do is sift through them and get to the ones that are real and get around the ones that are not real. So understand that objections are signs of interest, and they're supposed to happen. And when you know that, then just have fun with it. I say maintain your fun face. Have fun throughout the whole process. Smile. Smiling makes the conversation be a lot lighter and go a lot easier, both for you and for them. And when you smile, people can tell you're smiling. Obviously, if you're face to face with them, they can tell that you're smiling, they can see you. But your energy changes things. If you're over the phone, people can tell you're smiling. And your energy of fun puts a lightness, a lightheartedness on this conversation that makes it so much easier for them to see through their intellectual objections and for them to tap into their emotional reasons. And that's all you want. You just want them to tap into their emotional reasons, right? Now, one thing that you can do that really helps, and this is the unconscious part, is address the objections during the presentation. You know that the top 3 objections are some form of, I don't have time, I don't have money, or I don't think I can do it. Those are the top 3 reasons people don't join your business. Whether they say it or not, or know it or not, those are the top 3 reasons. And so what I want you to do is I want you to take those reasons and put them in the presentation. And the best way to do it is with stories about yourself, stories about other people. And I want you to get acknowledgement from them. So if somebody, if you think that somebody might say they don't have time, well, I mean, you want to do this regardless, because you don't know if somebody's going to say they don't have time. They haven't gotten there yet, right? You put this in the presentation. Maybe you say something about how successful people understand that time is created, time is not found. And then ask them if they agree with that. Do you agree that people make time for the things that are most important to them, that we'll make time for our children, that we'll make time for our family? You agree with that, right? And get them to agree with that. And get them to agree that when it comes to creating a business, money is important. You got to have some kind of financial investment in a business. I mean, you agree with that, right? You understand that successful people know that business is about investment. That's really the only way you can profit is from something, is investing. And there's got to be a money consciousness there. I mean, you would agree, wouldn't you, that the things that are most important to us are worth investing money in, right? And ask them to agree to that. Like, you're doing all of this during the presentation before you get there. And that's how their unconscious mind will go, yeah, okay, well, now money's not an issue anymore. It's just about value. Do I see enough value in this? Is it important enough for me to change my life? Because if it's important enough for me to change my life, I can find $100. I can find $600. I can find $1,200. I can find whatever money I need to invest in something that's important enough to me. That's what you want to talk about. So you want to take these objections out during the conversation. And finally, you don't want to even overcome the fears. You just want to explore the fears. Ask questions. Ask them what they mean by that. If they say, I don't have the time, just say, tell me more about that. That's my favorite objection response. Tell me more about that. Those 5 words, just totally open. Tell me more about that. You don't have to direct that in any way. Just tell me more about that. And then you'll hear them a lot of times fumble over their explanation because they realize that their explanation is garbage. They'll realize their objection is garbage. And a lot of people will talk themselves out of their objection if you just ask them to tell you more. Tell me more about that. And what you have to remember is that they have the answers inside of them. You don't have their answers for them. So the only way to get there is to ask questions and explore their considerations. Don't try to overcome them like this is a win or loss. Don't get into a debate. Just explore what's going on. Tell me more about that. That'll change everything for you, I promise. Now, I want to move through this one because this is something that a lot of people really struggle with, and it's about finding the ideal prospect. Now, this goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier about not prejudging people, but on the surface, it might sound sort of contradictory. So let me explain. You want to be clear about the characteristics that you want, the internal characteristics that you want. Most people are clear about what they don't want. They don't want people who quit. They don't want liars. They don't want people who are irritating, etc. But most people haven't clearly identified the characteristics that they do want. So who is it that you want in your business? What are those characteristics that are going to create success for people? Be very clear about those characteristics. Then use affirmations to attract those characteristics to you. You can say something like, I'm so happy that I'm attracting success-minded, serious women into my business who are dedicated to building their dreams. The more you affirm something, the more you'll heighten your awareness. Repetition heightens awareness. And so the more you affirm that, the more you'll focus on it. And when you find people, when you get into a conversation about Mary Kay, you got to focus on their energy and their actions, not just their words. I already talked about how unimportant somebody's language is compared to their energy. You got to focus on their actions, not their words, but focus on their actions according to the characteristics. Do their actions match those ideal characteristics? If you're looking for somebody who's dedicated and you're looking for somebody who follows through on their word, and then you see somebody not following through on their word, that's a red flag. And most people just get irritated around that. I want you to just say, oh, that's not who I'm looking for. Okay. Period. I think I might have missed something there. Hang on a sec. Going back through the slides, I think I missed some. Okay, no. So that's heightening your awareness and your intention around finding the ideal prospect. So this is sort of like an umbrella statement about all the things that I've been talking about so far. Your recruiting success is not determined by what you say or do. And yet most people are focusing too much on how do I do recruiting? What do I say during recruiting? Your recruiting success is determined much more by how you show up. It's determined by your energy. It's determined by your attitude. It's determined by your beliefs. It's determined by all of those internal things that will amplify the effectiveness of what you say and what you do. But please don't focus on just the saying and the doing part because you're off base. If you don't fix the internal conflict you have with money and success, I don't care how good you become at memorizing a recruiting script, you'll always energetically sabotage yourself. If you don't fix that emotional attachment that I talked to early on, I don't care how good you look. I don't care how smooth you can talk about your business. You'll always energetically sabotage yourself. This is an inside-out journey all the time. So hopefully the concepts so far have been valuable. I want to talk to you guys about going deeper, and then I want to open it up for a Q&A here for a moment. But let's just talk about your mindset around the journey. This journey in life in general and in Mary Kay specifically, it's not going to be easy. You're in a people business. It's not going to be easy. But it will be worth it if you dedicate yourself. And if you lock on to your dreams and your goals and you use Mary Kay as the tool to get there, if you lock on and you clear away some of the things I've been talking about over the last hour, this journey can and will be 100% worth it. The problem is not enough people are engaged in how valuable the journey is going to be. They're just engaged in how afraid they are on their way along the journey. And the value of the journey greatly outweighs the challenges along the way, but most people don't see it that way. They haven't engaged in the value of the journey. And at the end of your life, here's what I know to be true. You're not going to look back and wonder if you became a national sales director and wonder if you got into your Cadillac, and you're not going to look back and judge your life according to what your average production was. What you're going to do is you're going to look back and you're only going to care about whether you tried hard enough. Did I go for it? Did I give it my best? At the end of your life, that will be the single question that means the most to you. Did I really live? Or did I let the fears get the best of me? Did I let my doubts control my destiny? Did I let my limiting beliefs take away from the experiences I was meant to have on this planet? Please don't get in that situation with yourself. Don't get in that conversation with yourself about why didn't you go after it more. So here's the reality, you guys. You have two choices. One choice is to cope with your circumstances, both internal and external. Your money situation is a circumstance. You want to cope with it and continue to use your financial circumstance as a reason you can't change your life? That doesn't make any sense. Your internal circumstance, your belief, shouldn't be a reason that you can't do something to change your life. Your internal circumstance will determine your external circumstances. So do you want to just cope with those? Do you want to try to be the first person in human history to create an amazing life without doing the internal work? It's not going to happen. Yet too many people are trying to be the first ever to win an inside-out journey without playing the inside game. You just can't do it. The other way to do it is to really truly change the game internally by clearing away the conflicts, making some of those shifts that I've already talked about, the emotional attachment, the service in your body and not just in your head, creating new patterns, creating new identities, creating new beliefs, creating new expectations, creating new habits, creating new actions that support your goals and your dreams, because it's those internal patterns and identities and beliefs and values and environments that will ultimately determine what results you create in your world. You can't have one without the other. So the choice is yours. You have one of two choices, and I want you to choose wisely. Now, most people are committed to convenience and comfort. That's why they choose the coping road. If you're committed to growth and challenge and change and your vision for your life and your goals and your dreams, then you're willing to do the work. You're willing to get into the ring and do whatever you've got to do to clear it away. Now, for those of you that fall into the second category and you really truly do want to change the game, I want to spend a few moments and extend an invitation to you. It's my job to invite you to the party. You're going to listen and you're going to either say yes or no, but I want to tell you about what I'm doing in the Mary Kay world. And I didn't truly think I was going to do another Mary Kay only group coaching program. But there's been a stirring in my soul over the last couple months, really. And it's been about some of the experience I've been having with my coaching clients and some of the ahas that I've been having and some of the things that I realize is missing for so many people. And I really, truly feel unfulfilled because I haven't taught some of the things that I've been learning personally over the last, 6 months and so. And it hasn't really crystallized for me until recently. And so when I had this thought, I got so excited to get back in the game and do another Mary Kay only program specifically around some of the newer concepts and information that I now have. And I'm going to do this program in a different way than I've ever done before. So let me explain this to you. Here's the intention of Change the Game. And that's the title of it, Change the Game. I want to help you change your internal belief structure so that you have permission to succeed, that you're not just trying to succeed against your beliefs, especially around money and success. I will go deeper into your beliefs around money and give you exercises to change your beliefs around money than I ever have before. That piece right there will change your life. We're going to attack your beliefs around money and success in a way that I've never attacked them before. Part of the reason is because I'm doing some things in my own life that I've never done before, and I want to share them with you. And they're specifically around money and success at a bigger level. If you don't change your beliefs around money and success, you can't outperform them. You can't outperform them. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people are trying to do. They're trying to outperform their beliefs. It just won't happen. I want you to create long-lasting and sustainable productivity habits. Ultimately, your habits are what's going to change your results. And we're going to focus entirely on implementation, implementation, implementation. This is not just going to be conceptual. It's going to be, how do you change your beliefs? How do you build these habits? How do you implement this stuff? Put them into your life. How do you do that? I want to shift your energy around yourself and your business so that you can start loving what you do, like I was saying earlier, and start having results with ease. I want you to learn some of the business building systems, internal systems, external systems that are necessary for consistent and rapid growth. I want to support you, obviously, in getting your biggest goals in Mary Kay and in general. And I want you to have more time freedom. I want you to have more financial freedom. I want you to live life on your terms. Those are the overall intentions of the program. Now, let me tell you some of the more specifics of it. This is an 8-week live group coaching program with me. I will be on every single call live. I will be sticking around afterwards doing Q&A sessions on every call. And my goal is to get your questions answered as much as I possibly can. And for those of you that have been in group coaching programs with me in the past, you know that's one of my higher values, is to answer your questions and be available for you as much as I can, both on the calls, in the Facebook group, etc. Now, here's what I've never done before. I sent out a survey, kind of a survey on Facebook. Not the longer survey that some of you sent out, or filled out rather, but I just asked a question. If I was going to do a program, should I do it all together with everybody, or should I split it up between consultants and directors? And I got a lot of mixed answers. A lot of people said, do it for everybody because everybody needs the information. A lot of people said, separate it because there are certain things that we as directors don't need to learn anymore, or we need to focus specifically just for us being directors, and vice versa, same thing for the consultants. And so I'm doing a hybrid. Here's what I'm doing. It's an 8-week program. 5 of those weeks will be with everybody on the line, and then there will be 2 separate 3-week tracks. So what that means is you're going to have 5 calls with everybody. Those are the things that apply to everybody. And then you're going to have 3 weeks of only people that are in your position, because, and I've learned this so clearly in my 9 years, there are certain things that consultants need to focus on that directors should not be focusing on, and certain things that directors need to focus on that consultants it's just irrelevant for them where they are in their business. So I want to help you get very clear about you taking your next steps. And I can't do that. There's a certain point where I cannot get as detailed and as granular as I need to get with you if everybody's on the line. I just can't do it. So you're going to have 5 weeks with everybody, then 3 weeks with your particular group. For me, I'm going to be doing 5 weeks and then 3 weeks and 3 weeks also, right? So for me, I'm going to be doing a total of 11 calls. But for you, you're going to get 8 calls. The last 3 is going to be position specific. And the positions are going to be consultants and DIQs in one track and directors in the other track. Consultants and DIQs in one track, directors in the other track. And when you register for the program, I will follow up with you afterwards to find out whether you're a consultant or a director to get you in the right track. It's not on the page for you to choose, right? as I said, I'm going to go deeper into money beliefs and implementation than I've ever gone before, because I just noticed what's missing with a lot of the coaching programs out there, with what I've done in the past, and I'm going to do everything I can to fill in some of the gaps that are out there. You're going to have handouts. We're going to do exercises so that you can really like let the learning soak in. There's going to be live Q&A with me after every call. I talked about that. There's going to be a private Facebook group to continue the conversation and support. You're going to have access to any of the all the archives, so that if you don't make the calls live, you can listen, or you can just re-listen to them on your own time. Now, these are the 5 weeks that everybody's going to get. Now, this isn't the entire list, but things like money and success beliefs, time management and activity management, duplication techniques, your internal success drivers. What are the things that drive your decisions and drive your actions? Your identities and your boundaries. Boundaries is something that I've been focusing a lot on lately, and it's not just your boundaries around telling people when you're available and not. It's more your energetic boundaries. How do you destruct or deconstruct habits, and how do you create better habits? Ultimately, it's your habits that will determine your results, and we're going to really dive into that at a foundational level. We're going to talk about self-esteem and confidence increasing, etc. So, and there's going to be more, but those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about with everybody. With just the consultants and DIQs, we're going to talk about the real issues that you need to focus on. Now, I'm not talking about getting negative or pointing fingers or blaming or anything like that, but I am talking about reality. There are certain things that people don't have the space to discuss for whatever reason, and I'm the kind of guy that wants to discuss those things. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like to discuss reality, then this is not a good program for you. But if you're the kind of person that really wants to roll your sleeves up and discuss the things that need to be discussed so that you can make the changes that need to be changed, then this program is going to be great for you. With the consultants, we're going to talk about the solid beauty consultant, business foundation stuff, the mindset of moving up. A lot of people are woefully unprepared to become a director, and your mindset will keep you as a consultant or as an unprepared director unless it shifts. When to recruit, when to sell, how to deal with uninspiring leaders or team members or mentors, how to be flexible in your goal setting with yourself, how to recruit as a consultant. You're not a director. You don't have a bunch of success under your belt. The way you recruit might be a little bit different as a consultant than you would recruit as a director that's got a little bit more success, and you've got a little bit more belief around your specific history, etc. With the directors, we're going to talk about, again, no nonsense. Let's talk about the things that need to be talked about, advanced leadership skills, who you got to work with, who to love and let go, how to get people started properly, how to run your meetings so that you can increase engagement, get the most out of them. We're going to talk about persuasion, influence, and leadership, boundaries with your family and with your unit. And these things are going to be specific to directors. Now, for those of you that are consultants, I'm not saying that we'll never talk about these things in your track. We will. We'll just talk about them as they relate to you specifically. And anything that doesn't relate to you specifically, it doesn't serve you to know. There's no reason for you to know things that don't apply to you right now. Both ways, both for the directors and the consultants. And we're going to talk about flexible goal setting from a director standpoint. How do you help other people set their flexible goals? So this group coaching program is for you if you're tired of being where you are. And you know who I'm talking directly to right now. If you know that you want to grow quickly, but you want it to be consistent growth. You don't want the start-stop action. You don't want to climb a hill just to fall back down again. You want to continually grow. If you're a little irritated inside or a lot irritated inside because you know you have more to give and you know that you want more out of yourself, that little irritation that you're feeling in the lump in your throat right now or the rumblings in your stomach, that's really positive. That's a sign that you need to demand more of yourself and that you need to change the game because you've got more to give. You've got more to create. You've got more to produce. I've been there many times. I was just there in this situation literally a few weeks ago. And I had to feel and sit in that irritation for me to bust through the barriers that I had been sitting with for years in my life. So that is a perfect setup for you to make a breakthrough. If you're irritated, you got to be irritated a little bit. As long as you work on that irritation and you use it. You've got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and take action. If you're not willing to take action, nothing's going to help you. If you're willing to learn from other people's mistakes and other people's successes, so you shorten your learning curve, that's wise. Shorten your learning curve. If you're hungry and you just know that you're ready for a change, enough is enough is enough. What I know is that most human beings will not change unless they've suffered enough. So if you've suffered enough, let's go. Let's make this change. I'm speaking directly to you. Now, on top of that, you're going to get a few bonuses. I'm going to do a bonus call specifically for DIQs. I decided to not do a third track only for DIQs because I don't know that there are enough specific things that we need to talk about. But I will do a bonus call for DIQs. Obviously, if you're in DIQ, this will help. If you're thinking about going in DIQ, this will prepare you. And if you're a director, it will help you prepare your DIQs from what I've seen works and doesn't work for the people that don't do it the right way. And again, there's going to be a lot of truth on that call. There's going to be no sugarcoating. Bonus call number 2, what's working with warm chatting? I have a lot of clients that are crushing it when it comes to warm chatting, and I want to do a panel discussion with them. I want them to share with you what they're saying, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they're thinking. I'll obviously give my 2 cents as well, but I want you to hear from people who are actually doing it right now to give you some ideas and to shake up what's not working for you with warm chatting specifically. You're going to get a business growth and explosion strategy session. Now, some of you have already had a session, and that's fine. If you've had it, you're going to get another one specifically around the content for this program, right? So once you go through the program specifically for this program, how can we help you move now that you've consumed some of this program? Bonus number 4 is you're going to get Eagles Club access for another 2 months. If you're already in it, you'll get an additional 2 months. If you're not in it, it's a monthly coaching program that I do with a partner of mine, and it's positive programming. Just every single month you get CDs sent to you, you get downloads, audios, etc. The bonuses are valued at over $300. Let me tell you about the investment option. The investment for this program, I want to make it easy. I really want this to be a no-brainer. The investment on this program is $197. Or we have a pay plan. If the $197 is a little bit much for you right now, we have a pay plan for only $75. Now, many of you just now took yourself out of the game. Some of you are already on the page and you've already registered, and that's awesome. Some of you are going, I don't have $197. And I want you to challenge that voice that just said, I don't have $197, because not having $197 is not a good enough reason to not do the things that are going to make the changes so you never, ever have that excuse ever again. If your mindset just kicked in and said, I don't have the money, you're not thinking right. You're not thinking as a business owner. This is an investment. I don't want this program to be an expense for you. This program should be an investment for you. This program should pay for itself after the very first phone call if you implement and you're willing to take action. After a month, if you haven't created an additional $200 with the things that we've taught you, then just ask for your money back. We'll give it right back to you. But don't let that little voice inside of you that says, I don't have, be the voice that makes your decisions. Because a lot of people are thinking, well, what if it doesn't work? And what if I waste $197? And what if people think I'm crazy? And I've done all these things in the past and they've never worked. Really? Are you going to argue for your limitations, or are you going to argue for your vision? What are you going to argue for? Whichever one you decide to argue for will probably win the debate. And you've argued for your limitations long enough. Stop it. For once, for some of you, for once in your life, argue for yourself. For once in your life, bet on yourself. This is not about you joining a program. This is about you saying yes to yourself. This is about you saying enough is enough. This is about you saying, I'm not playing at the level that I want to play at, and it's time for me to change everything. It's time for me to change my habits. It's time for me to change the game that I'm playing, not just for myself, but for my family and for the people who I am going to positively impact through the course of my business. That's the voice you got to listen to. Now, if you don't think this program is for you and you're just choosing to not do it, that's totally cool. I'm not saying this is for everybody. If you don't like me or my way of teaching, or you don't think you need to learn these things, great. This program is not for you. But don't you dare let that little tiny voice that keeps you stuck make your decisions for changing your life. That little voice should not be invited to the decision table. That little voice will only keep you small and inside your current circumstances. You cannot break through that little, you cannot break through your circumstances listening to the little voice that's using your circumstances as a reason you can't change. That little voice should get no respect from you. None. Because that's the voice that's always held you back. And that's the voice that you need to shut up for once and for good. This might be the first time that you've challenged that voice. But you will not shift what you need to shift by listening to the voice that keeps you stuck. So this is an investment. You're in business. I mean, what would it take? What if you just created one more skincare class out of the internal shifts that we're going to talk about? What if you just got 2 more loyal customers out of the shifts that we're going to talk about? What if you just created one more success story underneath you? What if you offsprung one more person? What if you just made one slight shift? Would it cover a $197 investment? And if you don't think it will, then you're not thinking properly. You don't even believe in your own business. If you don't think a small shift can create a gigantic difference, especially to overcome a small investment like this. Now, I'm not saying that, I don't want to sound insensitive. I don't want to sound like, if you don't have $197, you're a loser. I'm not saying that. But I want you to attack the voice. I want you to attack that belief. For some of you, that's going to be the biggest breakthrough for you, is that you finally put everything on the line and you bet on yourself. Those are the stories that I like hearing. Those are the movies that I like watching. When people bet everything on themselves. That's what's exciting to me. So those are the investment options. As usual, I have some fat bonuses. Some of these might already be gone. I don't know. I haven't checked to see how many people have registered. But the fat bonuses are fast action takers. For the first 200 action takers in this program, this is going to be really cool. I haven't told you when the program starts. The program starts in 2 weeks. The program starts in 2 weeks. And this is a detail that I don't even have in front of me. I don't even remember the date that it starts, but I'll get that to you. The program starts in a couple weeks, in mid-October, and it's going to go through mid-December. And we're going to, get you as prepared as possible for the holidays and making the transition and really starting your year off right, etc. So one of the things that I've not done before, I just had this idea today. I'm going to give you $50, in Pink Caddy cash. Now what that means is you can use $50 all the way through the end of 2015 toward any physical product, CDs, or any group program going forward, excluding this one. Like you can't say, hey, I want to redeem my $50 and can I only pay $147? No. That's a bonus for making the investment in this program. But you have $50 in Pink Caddy cash to redeem for anything in the Mary Kay world that I sell that's a physical product or a group program through the end of 2015. That's for the first 200 people. So basically you invest the $200 and it's like you get a $50 coupon right away, right? I'm also going to do a laser coaching call. This is just another call in January after the program is done, after we've got through the holidays, for this group only, this is not going to be a call for my entire community. For this group only, for those 200 people, I'm going to do a laser coaching call. I'll probably end up doing 2 calls so that we can try to give everybody a date that they can listen live. You know what? I will do 2 calls. I'll make that commitment now. And you'll be able to send questions in and I'll answer them or help you however I can implement this stuff with, you know, whatever challenges you're having afterwards, etc. Those are for the first 200 action takers. For the first 10 people that act tonight, I'm going to give you a 25-minute private call with me specifically. And that would normally be $250. So for the first 10 people that act now, tonight, you're going to get this private coaching call just specifically with me. So in order to register, pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG for Change the Game. And let's change the game together. Now, there's a guarantee. If within 30 days you don't think I've delivered on the promise and you don't think you have the training and implementation tools that are going to help you double your business, we'll refund your money, no questions asked. In other words, there's no risk on your part. And I want you to really think about what's possible. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I want you to think about what's possible. I want you to suspend the disbelief around your business. I want you to think about what can happen when you remove your perfectionism. What can happen when you make some of these shifts? Antonella said her income tripled. Coty put in 80 new team members a few years after she made some of these shifts. Gigi increased her retail sales by $3,000. Has paid off, I think it's over 12 credit cards now. She had 5 active team members for the first time in her career. Judy went from $3,600 to over $10,000 a month. Diane says she was averaging a booking a day. Fran, I like this one, says she learned more about human behavior on one call than her $40,000 degree in psychology. Jim grew from 39 to 200, was the king of sales, got back into his Cadillac. So I want you to think about the possibilities. Now, most people think, what's the cost of taking action? I don't want you to think that way. Significant, successful people think, what's the cost of not taking action? What if you sit where you are and you don't challenge your circumstances? That's the real shame. That's what causes people to go to their graves with unspent potential. That's what causes people to underachieve in their life. So what's the cost of not taking action? If the cost of not taking action outweighs the cost of taking action, then you'll take action, whether it's with this opportunity or anything else. So hopefully this has been valuable for you guys. I'm going to do some Q&A here. Let's see the best way to do this, because we've got two communities here. We've got an online community at pinkcaddyhangout.com. So for those of you that are on the website, type in your questions in the comment section and I'll try to pick them up. Kimberly said she received a 404 error when she went to register. pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG. So that was working for me, Kimberly. Let me type in. I want to type into the comment section the URL. Hopefully it just shows up for you. CTG. So pinkcaddycoach.com, it's on the screen there. pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG, that stands for Change the Game. So I just clicked on the link that I put in the comment section and I was taken there, no problem. So hopefully that's going to work for all you guys. If any of you are also getting an error or something like that, like you're not able to take you there, then please let me know. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the questions on the phone. So if any of you have questions on the phone, if you have a question on the phone, let me open up the lines here for a moment. Okay, so all of you that are on the phone, you can ask a question, and I'll just repeat the question for anybody that's listening, watching the Hangout. You can hit *6 on your end to unmute your phone and ask your question. If any of you have questions on the content or the program or anything at all. All right, Charisse online also said that it said there was an error. Okay, so if you guys are getting an error, I don't know, like it's working on my end, so maybe there's something that's happening with specific connections or compatibility issues or whatever. No, you know what, Charisse, you're in. I see you. Kimberly, you're in. I see you. So it looks like there might be an error just on the after page, but you guys are in the program. So if any of you have a question on the phone, hit *6. Go ahead and tell me your name and where you're calling from and what your question is, and I'll answer it as best I can. Yeah, it looks like there's a 404 error maybe after you register. So sorry about that. Pam says, I want to sign up, but I don't know where to do it. So Pam, the registration link is pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG, which stands for Change the Game. CTG. Let me. So Pam, I'm going to send you, looks like I have your email address in my Gmail account. So I just sent you an email with the link if you can't get there on your own. pinkcaddycoach.com/CTG for Change the Game. All right. Are there any other questions, you guys? Or how valuable was the training tonight? If you don't have any questions, I'd like to hear some of your ahas. Tell me what you got out of it. Tell me what you feel like you can implement. What can you change? So tell me some of the things that you are learning or excited about. Nicolette from the UK says, what time are these calls likely to be? You know what I generally do, Nicolette, is I try to find a time that works for everybody and that can be consistent. That time is usually around this time that we started tonight, only because that's an easier time for for the people in the States. But if we have some international people on the line, then I'll see what I can do to make some times conducive for you guys, at least for a call or two, so you can at least be on the calls live. But remember, you get access to all the recordings, although I'd like to get you on live if we possibly can. So I would say that the calls were going to be at 6 p.m., but I will rethink that based on your comment and if we have more international folks that we want to take care of. Gail asked, do you see Gail? Let's see. Do I see Gail? Gail, you are in, my friend. Yes, you are. Okay, yeah, Pat, purchase got a 404 error. All right, I'm going to look into those errors, you guys, and find out what's the deal. Annette says, what's the date and time for the program? We're going to start in a couple weeks. We're going to start the week of October 13th, most likely Monday, October 13th. Although I'm going to have to rethink this actually based on the people that are coming in and some of the questions that are being asked. What I'm going to do is switch it up. Like, we're not going to do all the calls on a Monday, because if you have your unit meetings on Mondays, I don't want you to always miss the call. I'm going to mix them up. So some will be Mondays, some will be Tuesdays, some will be Wednesdays. I'll do the best I can to be flexible but consistent at the same time. And let me rethink the dates that I already had so that I can be more inclusive of more people. So the dates that I had actually wasn't going to be as inclusive as I want to be. So, but don't make the dates and the time, like, that shouldn't even be a function of whether you join the program or not, because the content is going to live in the archives. Obviously, we want you to be able to get on the live calls, but I promise I'll do everything I can to get you some live calls to make it conducive for everybody's calendar as best I can. Somebody said, my husband listened and said, yes, that's what you need to do. Change your attitude. Yes, that's the truth. But, you know, there's no attitude switch that you can just go, okay, I'm going to switch my attitude, because our attitudes are functions of our beliefs and the things we've lived with for our whole life, and identities we have. I mean, so it's not just as simple as just change your belief or change your attitude or stay more motivated. And that's what I'm going to do in this program, is I'm going to break down how do you actually deconstruct some of those negative patterns. How do you deconstruct it and reconstruct what you want to hear or what you want to be and what's going to help you achieve your goals? Kim says the biggest piece is making the internal shift from selling to sharing. That's huge. That'll be giant. Gail says warm chatting. Leisha says I could not get the link. It is not working. Actually, you know what? I don't know why I didn't do this before. Pam, I sent you an email. I could have just replied to you. So I'm just going to reply, Leisha, here on the page. CTG. So you should get like a notification that I just replied to your comment. I liked your comment and replied to it. All right. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. People are talking about what you got out of the webinar, and I love hearing that stuff. And I just really want to acknowledge you for taking the time. I know many of you have been on the line for 90 minutes now, and I really, really acknowledge you for being that committed to yourself and to your business and to your dreams. So with that, everyone, I will go through here and individually reply to those of you that I can reply to, those of you that are saying the link, you can't get the link to work and what happened and what have you. So I'll fix that as much as I can. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Respond to the emails that you get. Shoot me an email at Sean, S-E-A-N, at pinkcaddycoach.com. For those of you that are joining the program, I can't wait to start in a couple weeks. You're going to get everything that you need from us. You're going to get links to join the Facebook group. We're going to, you're going to get a confirmation. And I just can't wait, you guys. I'm excited because this is something different than the way I'm going to teach this is going to be a little different than I've ever taught before. We're going to go deeper and we're going to focus more on implementation than I've ever focused on before. And I think this will be the best program that I've ever led. And my intention is that this is the best program that you've ever experienced. So with that, everybody, have a wonderful night. Take care. God bless. And I look forward to interacting with you soon. Take care, everybody.